Hello?
Hi, I'm looking for Mr. Bill Speros.
This is Bill.
Bill, ladies and gentlemen, from bookies.com. Round of applause for him. This man right here is going to help us out with everything gambling related. Bill, how are you, sir?
My only guarantee is that I'll try.
Well,
we don't guarantee winners.
No, we're not looking for you to guarantee winners. We're looking for you to help us out with the field. Help us out with the, I don't know how to gamble, per se. Like, there's a lot of words that I don't know, like parlays and, when people give the odds, I don't know what, if I put $1 down, what do I get? Things of that nature. That's why you're here, because we're playing the conclave craziness that's going on. The conclave, by the way, has shut the door already, Joe. Yeah. We have had our first thing, our plume of black smoke. Therefore, nobody has been determined to be the Pope.
That's no smoke.
Bill on bookies.com, you've been handling the odds of who do you think is going to walk out as the new right hand of Jesus, the Pope. Where are you at? Who's the front runner for you?
Well, the consensus appears to be leaning toward Cardinal Pietro Perolin, who is a 70-year-old prelate from Italy.
He's Italiano.
The hometown favorite is got the early edge. Of course, the wonderful thing about this conclave is that we'll never know what happened leading up to the vote. You know, we're going to know who the Pope is, but we're never going to know anything that happened between when they close those doors today and when the Pope is chosen. So the good thing is if you bet on one of these cardinals and they don't win, you don't have to sweat like, oh my God, he was, right in it until he dropped the communion or he forgot one of the commandments in Latin. Like, you'll never know that. So, it's very clear cut, which will give us all a lot of peace.
So now we're going with a 70-year-old old Italian man to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is a cardinal. I get it, but isn't that kind of passe? I mean, it's been done. I'm shooting for a black guy, or I'm shooting for the Filipino guy. Those are my two cardinals. Yeah. What are the odds on them?
I like Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle.
Yep.
He's floating around 3-1.
Oh, 3-1 odds, Joe.
He's in there.
I actually think he's got a really good chance because, the church is really expanding in parts of the world outside of Europe, namely in Asia and in South America. And, of course, we just had a South American Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinal Tagle was often referred to as the Asian Francis. He shares many of the views that Francis had in terms of, being progressive, as they say in the church. And also, he's got a very good backstory. He's a very humble guy, very humble beginning, much like Francis. Lived a very simple life before becoming a cardinal. He'd sort of be my pick. Although I think you guys are going to love the next guy on my list.
Let me hear.
Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa.
Pizzaballa.
We got a cardinal named Pizzaballa.
That's his real name. Of course,
if you become Pope, you choose your name.
Oh, please say he's coming Pope Pizza.
He could be Pope Prosciutto. He could be Pope Pepperoni.
Pizzaiola.
Sausage. He could be Pope Calzone.
Oh God, I can only dream so much, Bill.
Pope Pizza. This guy are limitless.
Pope Pizza the 12th.
Pope Pizza the pie is he cuts it into eighths.
I wonder if those guys campaign for a Pope.
He would be a very pious Pope.
Yes, I would like a slice of pizzas. All right. So what is the all right? because we have the angelic 8 that we had up here. The Filipino Post. Now you're telling me that's 3-1 odds there. So that means if I put, so this is where you explain gambling to me. 3-1 odds. If I put down $1, I get 3.
Yeah, that the way that they do odds in the United States, that would be plus 300. Basically, meaning you're betting 100 and your winnings are plus 300. If you see a plus or a minus, that's always based on a 100 being even. So if something is minus 110, that means you're betting 110 to win 100. So you're betting you're betting 110 to win 100. So it's as a favorite. Anytime you see a minus, that's a favorite. So minus 500 is a much bigger favorite than minus 100.
So like Cardinal Pietro is a minus what? Because he's the front runner.
No, he's actually he's the front one. Cardinal Pietro is plus. He's anywhere between 2-1, plus 200 to plus 250. Depending on where you're betting. Obviously, you can't legally bet on this in the United States.
No,
you can do a trading market. You can go on Kalshi and bet money there. You trading in futures. Like you would basically, spend like 30 cents for a share. That would be worth $1 on Cardinal Pietro. So you're basically looking at, a little over 3-1 or 2.5 to 1. These numbers have been moving a lot the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Between the two favorites, our friend from the Philippines and Cardinal Pietro, those two are considered the favorites. And like you said, they are very different. Where Tagle is much more of Francis in terms of his belief, and Cardinal Pietro, our friend from Italy, is much more, sort of like a statesman, like a deal maker.
Mm-hmm.
He was very active in the foreign policy of the church. He was almost like the Vatican Secretary of State in a way.
Right.
He was sort of the Vatican's front-facing, political. Whenever it ventured into the temporal realm, he was sort of that guy. So, he's earned. I think he has the trust of a lot of people.
Bill? What's the Black Pope's name? Well, Black Cardinal.
Oh,
that's over.
He's Cardinal Turkson. Cardinal Turkson from Ghana.
Turkson. Why do I have
first? He'd be the first African Pope, of course.
Yes.
And he was actually elevated by John Paul II. And so he's 76. He's been around for a while. And again, I don't think they're going to go much older. Frankly, I don't think they're going to go older than 70 on this, which is one thing that's working against Cardinal Peter, is because he is 76.
Mm-hmm.
I think the church was happy to have a pope for 12 years. Where we had that period a little bit before that, then back before we had John Paul II. John Paul I was only.
So you're saying that they're going. You think they're going to go younger?
I'm surprised.
Because I was going to say, because Joe here on our show is saying they like them old.
Yeah, they don't want them around for 30, 40 years.
Well, it's a relative term. I mean, every single one of these people, the youngest one, our friend Pizza Balla. Pope Prosciutto.
Pope Prosciutto.
Takes the name Prosciutto. He takes the name Prosciutto after becoming Pope. He's 60. He's the youngest one in the field by a significant margin. Most are in their late 60s, early 70s.
He could be Pope for 30 years.
I think the one thing that would work against Cardinal Turkson, the African Pope, the African Cardinal, is his age. But he's got experience, and he would be the guy. Like if they got into the 40th ballot,
mm-hmm.
and they couldn't come up with somebody, he would be that compromise candidate. Like if this thing were to go long, and that would be meaning, I would say today is Wednesday, if this thing goes into the weekend or certainly into next week, that would be considered going long. And if that happens, then someone like Turkson or someone we don't know, a compromised candidate, someone who, would make everybody sort of happy but not fully happy. You know how that works?
Yeah.
That's kind of the deal where nobody's happy.
The compromise pope.
Bill, are you on speakerphone?
No, I'm on headphones.
Oh, there you go. That's why. Because you were kind of fading out, like you're going into a tunnel, like you were going into the conclave. We were missing you. There you go.
I very much could be in the emotional conclave, but that's a different.
But that you got to talk to your therapist about that, Bill. That's what you got to do.
Yes.
Quick question. Yes. Two things. Who's the longest shot? Is it Tim Dolan?
Yeah.
There you go.
I think you could put him at about 100 to 1.
100 to 1 odds on Cardinal Timothy Dolan right here from New York.
$10 on him.
I'll put $10 down on Timothy Dolan.
I'll take that bet.
Yeah.
I'll take that bet.
Yeah, of course you would.
I'll happily hold that wager for you.
According to Nick, we're plus 900 for pizza, by the way.
Yeah, that's about right. And, I would love to see.
We're losing.
Hey, wait, Bill, you gotta get off that headset, bro. Your phone stinks. We need your headset stinks. We need you. We need a regular phone because we're losing you. And you got some good tips here. I'm learning that Timothy Dolan's a piece of whoo, and there's no way in hell. And I'm thinking my Filipino Pope Joe has a shot. He's only 3 to 1 odds.
Well,
that's not
pretty
bad.
Good.
He has a great shot.
Yeah, he has a great shot.
I think he's going to be all right. I think everyone would love Cardinal Pizza. Unfortunately, he'll end up being Cardinal Francis II, Pope Francis II. He won't be. He won't be Pope Pizza.
No onions.
Maybe Pope Anchovy or Pineapple.
That would be ham pineapple. That would be great. All right, so let's get out of the conclave for a second. Let's move because Ricky, who's our huge NBA guy, he's watching the Knicks as we speak, and he's almost throwing furniture here in the studio.
Really?
Very angry, almost flipped over the table, has begged us to turn off the game. We're keeping it on just because we love when he has the rage of the NBA. What are the odds the Knicks go all the way? Give him some from bookies.com. Do we have any odds on the Knicks going all the way to the NBA Finals?
Right now, the odds in this series for the Knicks to win the series, they're at about plus 550 or 5.5 to 1 to win this series. Even after that debacle the other night, so you could shop around in terms of winning the NBA title. That's a little different. I would say right now they're at about 30 to 1 to win it all. The Knicks. Mm-hmm. So that's a great value if you like any of those teams. I mean, even the Pacers. The Pacers are at 20 to 1 right now to win it all, and they're up 2-0 on Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So there's some decent value if you're looking in those futures markets to win the NBA title.
Who's the Timothy Dolan of the NBA?
Well, right now I would say it would be the Knicks.
All right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Which is fitting. It's fitting and poetic. I'm sure Cardinal Dolan is a Knicks fan, so he'll feel right at home.
Weird, yeah.
Hopefully he's able to watch the game, although he's probably not too happy right now. But I don't know if they give him like a TV break. And they break for the night. I don't know if it's like a jury where they're sequestered and they, can't watch TV or listen to the radio or anything like that. Maybe they're just reading the Bible all night.
Maybe one of the Cardinals snuck in a cell phone. They're all huddled around the phone watching the game.
What's the odds of the Knicks looking like shit?
That's easy. They're doing that now.
That's an easy way to make some money.
Yeah. If you
maybe they're at the they might have their own club in the Vatican too.
That's true.
Very true. All right, so moving on to the NHL because the NHL is further down the road. Am I correct, Billy?
Well, yeah, they got to still finish up round 2.
I know, but we're getting reports. Florida's 2, Leafs 1.
Correct.
And I don't know what period they're in. We'll find that out. And I'm sure Nick will get back to us.
They're in the second
period.
They're early in the second period.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Billy, your team is what?
Oh, they're not playing.
I know. The Islanders aren't in. Aren't even in contention. Am I correct?
No, but they did win the number 1 draft pick for next year.
They got the number 1 pick.
Congratulations, Bill.
Yeah. How are these odds and the plus minus?
Yeah, how's that figured out?
Differential. How is that figured out?
Tell us what bookies.com does. Yeah.
What it's based off of, and
well, you know, the sports books, when they set odds, they use probably 60 to 70 different data points on each game. You know, they'll take a lot of different factors into play. And now it's all done automatically. You know, they'll set algorithms on NBA lines or NFL lines or NHL lines or any particular, whatever the sport is. You know, whatever the sport is, they'll have a data set of, you know, different points, and then they, you know, literally and figuratively run the numbers, and that gives them, you know, a betting line. That gives them odds on the total or the outcome of the game or the point spread. And they'll, you know, they're all pretty good. They're really good at what they do. So when they set a point spread, you know, let's say we're talking about the Celtics and the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
The line on this game tonight was 11 points, which means if you wanted the Celtics, if you bet on the Celtics, they'd have to win by 11, which is a tie, or 12, and you'd cash. So they'll set a line like that based on the fact of, you know, everybody was healthy on paper. Obviously, the Celtics missed 45 threes the other night. That's an anomaly. So, you know, they're going to factor in the Celtics not missing so many threes. They're going to factor in the fact that the Celtics are healthy. They're going to factor in, you know, how well they played against the Knicks every other game this year. They'll factor in that it's a home game, you know, and they'll take all these data points, and they each one is assigned a number of importance, and they just put all those numbers together, and that's how they get a spread. And if the spread is out of whack, what'll happen is the sharps, the full-time bettors, will jump on a line. Like, let's say that if the line had come out today and the Celtics were 5-point favorites, everybody would have jumped on that line, and then the books would have had a huge liability. So what they really try to do is set a number to where half the money's on one side and half the money's on the other, and they make their money on the spread, the VIG, what they call it, basically the
on the
percent they take off the top of most bets. And that's really where they, you know, their average, they call it hold, which is basically what you think is a profit margin. You know, they try to average a hold of 10%. 10% is great, like a great hold, meaning they take 10% profit of all the bets that they handle. You know, if they handle $1,000 and there's $100 left at the end of the night, that's a great night for them.
All right, so it's not a guy. It's not a guy named like Vinny Knuckles at a Canarsie doing this.
No, Vinny used to do it.
Oh,
but then he retired.
Hey, over here.
He's no longer with us.
We got Bill Speros on the phone. He's from bookies.com. He took over for fucking Vinny Knuckles. And Bill Speros is the odds man here at bookies.com.
He was skimming.
He was skimming off the top. He went after the VIG. I learned new words,
exactly.
Joe. The VIG. He went after the VIG.
I think Vinny was skimming.
Oh, he was skimming.
Paulie had him whacked.
Right.
I think Vinny's in long-term parking at Newark Airport right now.
There you go. Now you're learning. See, this is what I'm saying, Joe. This excites me because I gamble. When I gamble, I'll play cards. I do table games. That's me. I want to learn the sports gambling because all I see is these I want March Madness to matter to me. Yeah. I don't give a shit about March Madness. I'm trying to learn. Like, I got Billy and Ricky here. They try to teach me sports, at least knowing enough that I can put money down. So now, along with Bill here, who's gonna, he doesn't skim the VIG, Joe. This guy,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
No, I don't skim.
No, here.
I learned I learned from.
He learned how to do these
Robert
things over here. Yes, Joe. What were you saying?
Sports is
I do try to make money from my bosses, so that's how I keep my
Make
job,
me
right?
some money, Bill. Me.
That's right.
Your bosses
That's how
have
I
money.
stay employed.
God damn it! What, Joe? What were you saying?
No, sports is 100 times more interesting when you got money.
Of
on the
course,
game.
yeah.
You know, I used to bet football all the time in my younger days,
Mm-hmm.
and then I stopped betting because I was going broke.
Well, that would help. You were a shitty gambler, Joe. Is what
I'm
you're
terrible
saying.
gambler.
This is why you got to go to bookies.com. At least
Forget about
bookies.com at least gives you the odds.
And
They're not a gambling website. They just give you the odds, and then you take that information and you go over to your gambling website, whether it's your DraftKings or your whatever,
It's all about money.
FanDuel.
You don't go to the racetrack and not bet at the horses.
No, the horse.
You just explained our business model better than anyone I've ever spoken to about
Exactly.
this. I've probably done 10, 40 radio hits and 20 TV hits, and you've explained our business model better than anyone.
They give you
That's exactly what we do.
What bookies.com
We provide
is.
information.
Yeah, they're the cheat sheet. You learn what the freaking odds are. They give you the information, and then you go, okay, I'm going to go over the DraftKings and put a Finsky down on the Knicks.
And if you're signing up for DraftKings, you use our code and you get a little deal.
There you go. So bing, bang, boom, everyone's happy. Vinny Knuckles, he wouldn't have died in infamy. Everybody's happy.
No, it's very practical to gamble that way.
He did some other things, too.
He was a bad boy. Vinny Knuckles is a bad guy. We don't have to talk about him that much.
No.
I don't want to get whacked.
No.
But the fact is,
no.
Bookies.com is a different kind of playing field. You learn from that shit. That's what I'm saying. I can use, these are the tools that I can use to learn how to gamble. I go to Bill over here. He tells me, Bill Sparrows tells me, bing, bang, boom, here, look at it. Like, I think you should be allowed to vote for the Pope and gamble here in America. I don't see why.
You have to, but you got to and do it offshore.
But it's crazy shit. It's like still crazy
well,
shit. You should be allowed to gamble on everything. Everything
well,
should be
I'll tell you, now, if you go, they call themselves trading markets.
Okay.
It's betting. But they call themselves trading. It is legal. It's totally above board, totally. Actually, today there was a decision in a federal court that codified this website. It's called Kalshi, Kalshi.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go on that website. It's legal in the United States. We actually do some, we do some work with them. But I cover it because it's, legal. I don't really do anything that's illegal. We're not in that space. But Kalshi is a legal trading market, so you could go on Kalshi right now and buy trade shares on our friend Pope Pizzabilla or any of these other wonderful cardinals who hope to lead the Roman Catholic Church into the middle of the 21st century.
I got a mill on Tim Dolan.
You could probably put down some money on Cardinal Dolan, and you will lose that money, but you'll feel good about it. I'm sure he would appreciate the love. And it might make him feel better, although knowing the Celtics, they'll blow this lead tonight anyway. But, I think if the Celtics do even the series,
they ain't going to blow shit.
The
they ain't gonna blow shit. The Knicks is shit.
By the way, you're introduced to the Slickster. He is the world's most angriest Knicks fan ever. He is watching the game simultaneously while we do this interview with you, Bill.
Uh-oh.
And I have never seen.
Just dropped that one for Brookline. That's not good. See him hitting them from Brookline tonight. That's not good.
Yeah, he is not happy. By the way, the score of the game, Boston 53, 41 Knicks. He is not happy.
This is every fucking game. Watching these assholes go down and have to fight back. I've been watching the same shit. I don't care what decade. I don't care how many fucking teams or different players they have. They play the same fucking way. It must be a Knick tradition. It's unfucking believable.
Well, somebody's got to break their leg and then come back out on the court and they'll be fine.
A lot of people in Boston are talking about the Boston-New York rivalry here, but the Celtics and Knicks haven't played a
meaningful,
consequential playoff series in 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time they met in the playoffs when it mattered was in 84. Reagan was president.
And look how that went.
Bernard King.
Yeah, Bernard King.
He tried to beat Bird, McHale, and Parrish all by himself, and he almost did it.
We don't have that kind of player
40
no
years
more.
ago.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of player no more.
Uh-oh. I think Tatum's got to fire up his ass tonight.
All right. On that note, Bill Speros, bookies.com. I gotta take a break, Bill. So I just want to tell you thank you for being on the show.
Yes.
By the way, in the chat room right now, they're all saying hashtag pray for pizza. They're trying to make sure that gets over because we want Pope Pizza the Pious.
Pope Pizza the Pious.
Yeah, to be the Pope Pan Pizza will be the new Pope. Hopefully, I'm still shooting for the Filipino 3-1 odds. I might go.
You never know.
And throw the money down on the Filipino Pope. That might happen. It could happen.
I'm gonna put $10 on the dollar.
I got to pick what he's at, but my heart is both with pizza and also encrusted in the cheese from pizza.
Yeah, see? You see what he did there? You see what he did? That's why Bill Speros is an amazing man. Yes. He's on top notch. He's on time. 9 million freaking things of multimedia. Jeez. This man does. He's a reporter. He's a friggin' gambler. He's a friggin' bookie. Bookies.com is just one of his many things. Thank you, Bill, for being on the show, bro.
Thank you, Bill.
Loved it.
Thank you, buddy. Anytime. We'll figure out another way to sneak in. All right? Round of applause for Bill Speros.
Okay, Bill.
This is like watching somebody eat a shit sandwich.
You're still with the game, I tell you.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, guys.
Later on. Bill Speros, bookies.com to handle everything. By the way, that was, in the beginning we didn't have any, it kept going out.
Yeah.
But once he fucking took his phone and put it actually, up to his ear, phenomenal sound.
I think he was wearing a headset.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Like that,
either way, we got to take a break. April from the Weed Shop, what are we betting on? We're betting on Popes.
The Pope.
So far, Ricky's betting on the Knicks.
No, he's not.
Man, are you crazy?
He would bet against them.
And
I'm betting on how many people will kick him in the ass on the way out of the fucking stadium.
And Billy's betting on who the Islanders take as their number 1 draft pick.
No,
it's what we do. It's the Ham Radio Show.